Welcome everyone to TLCC Online. It is the Life Christian Church's online campus. I am Amanda Smith and I'm one of the online campus pastors here.
And my name is Christian Smith. I'm the other campus pastor at TLCC Online, and we're so happy that you're joining us today. Our mission at the Life Christian Church is to inspire people to the life God dreams for them as we spread his love in ever-widening circles.
And we're super excited about today's service. As you can tell, we are in the Christmas season. I hope those of you who are in the States had a great Thanksgiving. And later on in today's service, we are going to be lighting our first candle of the Advent season. We're going to be focusing on hope. So if you want to participate with us, don't forget to get your Advent wreaths ready.
Before we jump into worship, we would love to invite you to invite someone to the service. It's so easy to do. You can just hit the link that one of our chat hosts have posted into the chat, or just copy and paste the URL and text it to someone. Maybe give someone a call and say, hey, I'm watching church. I'm going to text it to you. And they can join and worship with you as well.
Right now, we are going to enter into a time of worship. So however you choose to participate, we hope that you will worship with us.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to TLCC. We're so happy that you've joined us here this morning. We're going to sing a couple songs of worship, so if you guys would like, please stand and join us.
Christ is my firm foundation, the rock on which I stand when everything around me is shaking. Something about the name, it's like nothing I can explain. There's just something about the name Jesus, 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 Jesus.
We love worshiping with you guys each week. You guys are always on fire in the chat. Thank you so much for participating wherever you're watching from. Well, hello again, and my name is Amanda Smith. If I have not met you, I'm one of the online campus pastors here at the Life Christian Church.
And my name's Christian. I am the other online campus pastor. And again, we're so glad that you're joining us today, especially if you're new with us today. Thank you so much for spending some of your time with us. We would love to send you a small gift as a way to say thanks for spending some time with us. And that is the ebook version of our lead pastor Terry Smith's book called Live 10, Jumpstart the Best Version of Your Life. We would love to just send that to you as a gift. If you want to receive that, you can just hit the New Here link and fill out some of your information, and our team will send that to you in an email this week.
And if you're a TLCC member or a regular attender and you're on the other side of the screen, please don't forget to check in with us. We want to know that you're here, whether you're watching on a mobile device or on your laptop or on Facebook. Check in with us. This helps us serve you better. This helps us pray for you and know that you're on the other side of that screen. All you have to do is click the check-in link that is sent in the chat or in the comments.
As you can tell, we're already getting ready for Christmas around here in our apartment. And TLCC is also getting ready for the Christmas season, especially because this week we jump into Advent, which we'll talk more about later. But we have so many awesome things coming up. And the first one that I want to let you know about, which is happening at our West Orange campus in New Jersey, and that is a TLCC Christmas experience, which is our TLCC show and some other wonderful events that you're going to want to join us for.
It's an amazing experience. I definitely don't want to miss out on this. So what are they going to experience when they're on campus at West Orange?
Yeah, so if you've never joined us before, every single year we get Christmas lights and we deck out the outside of our West Orange campus. It's a beautiful, dazzling display. You want to come, bring some friends, bring some family. You can walk through great areas for pictures. And we also have vendors that are set up outdoors that are selling fun goods, able to support them. And maybe you can pick up some Christmas gifts for people that you know. I know Amanda has lots of things from those vendors that she says other people bought her, but I think she probably bought them for herself.
You'll never know.
Our creative team also puts on a wonderful Christmas show every single year. And this year, we're going to have Christmas shows on Friday, December 16th, Saturday, December 17th, and Sunday, December 18th in the evening. So we'll have normal church times in the morning and then shows in the evening. You do need to purchase a ticket for those shows if you would like to join us. You can enjoy the outside experience and the vendors with no cost, but we just need you to be able to reserve a seat.
If you want to learn more about TLCC West Orange Christmas experience, all you have to do is visit tlcc.org/Christmas. You can purchase tickets for yourself and friends and just have a grand old time planning your Christmas activities. We also want to let you know of a couple of more things that are coming up this Christmas season and post-Christmas season, and that is that on Christmas Day, the Life Christian Church will be hosting an exclusively online experience. So that means everyone, online campus and West Orange campus, we're all going to be meeting online. And the service will include a creative performance, a story reading, and a Christmas message. So it'll be brief, but it'll be fun for you and the family to watch together. This will be available on tlcc.org on Christmas morning and throughout the day for you to watch on demand. TLCC Online is getting a lot of activity this year. So we're
so exciting.
So we're also going to be meeting exclusively online on New Year's Day at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to have a traditional service with worship and a great message. And we would love for all of you to join us at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on New Year's Day. And the experience will be available to all of us at tlcc.org or Facebook. So you can log in whatever platform suits you Join in on the live chat and the worship experience, and we're going to have a great time together. The New Year's Day experience will also be available to watch throughout the day on demand. So if 10 a.m. doesn't work for you, we've got you covered for the rest of the day. Ooh, okay, so lots going on with the online campus. But right now, Christian, what are we doing?
Right now, we are going to light our first Advent candle as we prepare for Christmas. So, for the past 1,500 years, Christians have celebrated the coming of Christ through Advent, the 4 weeks leading up to Christmas, by reflecting on hope, peace, joy, and love. The season not only reminds us of the first coming of Christ and his birth at Christmas, but also his future second coming, when he will bring the fullness of his peace, hope, joy, and love to his creation. Today, we light our first Advent candle representing hope. We remind ourselves that Jesus was the hope for Israel as the future Messiah, that he is our hope today as he has already arrived, and that he is our hope for tomorrow, for Jesus will come again. As is said in Psalm 30, we wait in hope for the Lord. He is our help and our shield. In him our hearts rejoice, for we trust in his holy name. May your unfailing love be with us, Lord, even as we put our hope in you. In celebration of Jesus as the hope of the world, we light our first candle of Advent.
Good morning, TLCC. How's everyone doing this morning? Good morning. It's great to be with you guys. My name is Ben Stapley, and I got a chance to serve on staff as the executive pastor. It's great to be with you guys on site and online as well. I have a number of questions that I want to ask you guys, so there's a little bit of participation before we jump in. So a couple of questions. We had a busy couple of days here. First of all, how many people overate on Thanksgiving? Anybody overeat on Thanksgiving? Show of hands in the room. Feel free to put a turkey emoji or a bloated face online in the chat if you overate. If you didn't overeat, you were probably at the wrong Thanksgiving. That's our God-given right to overeat on Thanksgiving, people. Okay, speaking about overindulging, how many people participated in Black Friday? Anyone buy some Black Friday deals? Excellent, okay. Feel free to put some dollar signs in the chat online as well. I participated as well. I bought things with money I don't have for things I don't want. It's our God-given right to do that on Black Friday. And then last question. How many people here have been enjoying the World Cup? Show of hands, any soccer fans in the room? Again, put the soccer ball emoji online. It's been great. So normally the World Cup, if you're not familiar, happens every 4 years. Normally it happens in the summertime, but because it's happening in a Middle Eastern country which has a tremendous amount of heat during the summer, they've moved it to the fall this year. And it's great. It's fascinating. I love celebrating it every year. Actually, I really enjoy celebrating it here at TLCC as well, because we have a congregation with people from a lot of different countries. So not everyone is cheering for America going on right now. We're cheering for different countries. And I can speak on behalf of myself as well as a Canadian, because Canada is in the World Cup. Very, very exciting. A lot of you are surprised. You guys do more than ice hockey. Interesting. I didn't know you could kick a ball. Yes, we're in the World Cup, but it is only our second time in the World Cup. We only made it the first time back in '86. So we've had a drought for a while. It's been a while, and we're back in. And this year the bar is very low. We're looking to score one goal. Just one goal. Last time we were in, we didn't score any goals. So this year, if we score one goal, we're going to be very excited. I believe they're playing Croatia this morning. So at any point, if they score and you want to give us a real-time update, you can just yell goal if Canada wins. So Croatia scores a goal, please do not It's going to really dishearten me. So, hey, it's great to have you guys. Great to be celebrating a lot of different things that have been happening in the past couple of weeks. As Pastor Terry mentioned earlier on, we are in the midst of a message series called Parabolic. We always do our teaching series based upon trimesters here, and our trimester, this right now for the fall, is coming to an end. And so what we've been looking at is the parables of Jesus. So that context there, that title there, Parabolic, has a double meaning. First of all, it relates to the parables or the stories that Jesus told. But beyond that, parabolic also means that there's a deeper level to something, an additional layer of understanding. If you have parabolic glasses, it gives you a unique view. If you have a parabolic mic, it helps you hear things for the first time. So in a sense, we're going to be jumping into a passage and trying to look beyond the surface to go into the depth of it to get the additional meaning. So that's where we're going this morning. The parable that we're studying, if you want to grab your Bibles and follow along, that'd be great. If not, the text is going to be on the screen. But it's found in Luke. It's Luke chapter 7, verses 36 through 50. And it's the parable that really highlights the theme of grace. It's one of my favorite parables, and if you don't get excited for the theme of grace as a believer, then you should probably step off stage and not preach the message. But that's where we're going this morning, the theme of grace and the parable about the prostitute. So I was going to read the passage to you, but instead of reading it, I found a great video clip that showcases some of the cultural clues and subtext to what's going on in this very unique scene that would help us to see it and hear it at the same time. So let's take a look at the passage that we're going to study today.
When one of the Pharisees invited Jesus to have dinner with him, he went to the Pharisee's house and reclined at the table. A woman in that town, who lived a sinful life, learned that Jesus was eating at the Pharisee's house. So she came there with an alabaster jar of perfume. As she stood behind him at his feet weeping, she began to wet his feet with her tears. Then she wiped them with her hair, kissed them, and poured perfume on them. When the Pharisee who had invited him saw this, he said to himself, "If this man were a prophet, he would know who is touching him and what kind of woman she is, that she is a sinner." Jesus answered him, "Simon, I have something to tell you." "Tell me, teacher," he said. 2 people owed money to a certain moneylender. One owed him 500 denarii and the other 50. Neither of them had the money to pay him back, so he forgave the debts of both. Now which of them will love him more? Simon replied, "I suppose the one who had the bigger debt forgiven." "You have judged correctly," Jesus said. Then he turned toward the woman and said to Simon, "Do you see this woman? I came into your house. You did not give me any water for my feet, but she wet my feet with her tears and wiped them with her hair. You did not give me a kiss, but this woman, from the time I entered, has not stopped kissing my feet. You did not put oil on my head, but she has poured perfume on my feet. Therefore, I tell you, her many sins have been forgiven, as her great love has shown. But whoever has been forgiven little, loves little." Then Jesus said to her, "Your sins are forgiven." The other guests began to say among themselves, "Who is this who even forgives sins?" Jesus said to the woman, "Your faith has saved you. Go in peace."
Jesus said to the woman, "Your faith has saved you. Go in peace." This woman who is a prostitute. Now, when it comes to prostitution, there's a lot of different views on that profession and a person who is a prostitute. There's a couple of different views. One of them is an ignorant view. I remember as a child, I had a very ignorant view of what a prostitute was. We would oftentimes go into Toronto visiting family, and when I went into the big city, I'd kind of have my face plastered against the window to take in all the sights and sounds of the big city of Toronto. And when we would go in late at night, sometimes we'd pass on by. And I was perplexed because I would see some ladies out on the street corner, and even though it was dead of winter and there was snow on the ground, they were still wearing short skirts, and I was concerned for their warmth. And so I asked my mom what was going on there. Why aren't these ladies bundled up? And I remember her response to me. She told me that these are ladies of the night, which did not clarify anything to me as a child. That just made it more confusing. These are ladies of the night. Okay, well, that begs the question, well, where are the men of the night? Where are the men of the night? And the ladies of the night, so what happens during the day? Does a different shift of ladies of the day come in? So it got a lot of questions going in my young mind. I was very ignorant in terms of what was going on there. That's one view that we have towards prostitution. We just don't really know what's going on there. Another view is an idealized view. We see it, amen, it's a very idealized view. We see this probably most clearly in the film Pretty Woman, right? The 1990 film, Richard Gere, Julia Roberts. It's starring a handsome and a wealthy man who takes pity upon this gorgeous call girl. And because of the kindness of his heart, he sees her inner beauty and invests in her. It's a very idealized version of what's going on in that profession. It's not accurate, it's a little ignorant, it's a little idealized as well. We can have those type of views. Beyond those type of views, we could also have a disparaging view, right? That's probably the overarching view our culture has towards this profession, people who are in this profession. It's the disparaging view. We have the term prostitution. There's a number of other names that would go towards those people, but they are crude, coarse, and cutting words used to define people working in that industry. A lot of different views. Ignorant, idealized, disparaging. Jesus comes onto the scene, and he has a completely different view. He doesn't have any of those perspectives. He has a very sympathetic attitude towards this woman that we saw portrayed in the video clip. He looks at her pain and takes pity on her, looks at her plight of sorrow and desires to bring her close to himself, emotionally, relationally, spiritually, physically. He wants to connect with her. He sees her plight and takes pity upon her. There's a couple of unique factors going on for people who are involved in the sex trade. There's a couple things. First of all, it involves people much younger, and they also die much earlier. It involves people much younger. So the average age for somebody getting involved in prostitution is a staggering 13 years of age. Oftentimes people are coerced at this age. It's not their decision. Someone else is forcing them into it. It's a staggering, a shocking statistic for us to realize at how young people get involved. It's probably similar to this woman as well. She probably got involved in the trade at a very young age. Beyond getting involved at a young age, oftentimes people involved in this profession die at a younger age. For every profession, there's a mortality rate that's attributed to it. So if you got into this profession, how long do you live? And you got involved in this profession, how long did you live? And different professions have different mortality rates. So some are understandably maybe a little bit higher, right? You might have law enforcement. Okay, you're on the line of fire, right? You're out there. I can understand that being a little bit higher in terms of a higher mortality rate. You have some that are lower. A pastor doesn't usually have a high mortality rate. It's usually a profession with a little bit lower. But there's some other ones that are shockingly high that I didn't realize as I was doing some research here. One of them that is really high, it's up like in the top 5, is delivery drivers. Delivery drivers. Out of 100,000 people, 27 die on the job every year, which is a shocking number. So this Christmas, if your Amazon package is an hour late, be gracious towards that delivery driver. They have a profession, shockingly, that is a high mortality rate for people working on the job. They do. Another profession that has a high one, so they were 27, and one a little higher than that, is roofers. They have 42 deaths out of 100,000 every year for roofers, which kind of makes sense. Right? You're going up on a ladder, you're working high on a roof. There's a chance that if I trip and fall, I might fall a couple of feet off stage here. I'm not going to die from that. I might sprain an ankle, but I'm not going to die. Roofers, if you fall off a roof, you may die. It's a high mortality rate. Another one that was kind of shocking to me, the second highest one, is fishermen. Fishermen, the mortality rate there, 132 deaths every year out of 100,000 for fishermen, which I was a little shocked by at first, but then if you think about the shows on television, it kind of makes sense, right? You know, The Deadliest Catch. That show has been on air for 15 seasons. It's still a dangerous profession year after year after year. It's a dangerous profession. So we talked about some people, right? Delivery drivers, roofers 42, fishermen 132. For prostitutes, it's 204. They have the highest mortality rate of any job. They're the most vulnerable people out there. And Jesus knows that when he's interacting with this woman. He's sympathetic with her, seeing that you probably got involved in this trade at a young age, and you may die at a young age because of it as well. He comes and approaches her with sympathy. Let's jump back into the passage and read some more. Luke 7:36 says this. When one of the Pharisees invited Jesus to have dinner with him, he went to the Pharisee's house and reclined at the table. A woman in that town who lived a sinful life learned that Jesus was eating at the Pharisee's house. So she came there with an alabaster jar of perfume. As she stood behind him at his feet, weeping, she began to wet his feet with her tears. Then she wiped them with her hair, kissed them, and poured perfume on them. There's two interesting cultural things that are going on here. First of all, the perfume, and the second of all, the feet, that we need to unpack to better understand what's happening. First of all, the perfume. This alabaster jar of perfume is a very expensive substance. It would have cost her a year and a half, 18 months of her salary to earn this and to pay for this. So, we're not talking about Axe body spray here. It's something a little more valuable. If you're a parent of a junior high boy, you know what I'm talking about here. It's a little more valuable than that. It's something that would have cost her life savings. I have, probably like you as well, haven't saved up a year and a half of my wages for any purchase that I've ever made. But this woman made this purchase, and beyond making this purchase, she decided to break it onto Jesus' feet and to honor him. Why did she do this? Why did she pour this substance of great value onto him? Because she wanted to honor him. During the Middle East culture, people would oftentimes pour oil or perfume onto somebody, oftentimes on their head, to signify they were a person of great value. I pour the substance of great value on you to indicate you're a person of great value. And as they walked around and as their hair shimmered with this oil, people would understand that as a person of great value. You could see it from far off. Beyond seeing it from far off, you could smell it from far off. It was a pungent smell, a beautiful aroma. People, man, that person is of great honor. She took something of great honor, but she saw Jesus of great honor and broke it on his feet. So that's the jar of perfume. But then let's go towards the feet. What is going on there with the feet? Well, first of all, we have to acknowledge that feet are funky, right? Can we acknowledge that feet are a little funky, right? Even like 21st century feet are a little funky, right? We get corns, we get bunions, we get athlete's feet. Even if we're not athletic, we still get athlete's feet. I don't know how that works out, but feet can be a little funky, our 21st century feet. Well, rewind the clock, and they get a little bit funkier when you go back in time, right? First century feet, what did those look like? What did those smell like? You have to realize that they don't have the benefit of soft socks like we have, or soled shoes with extra padding and arch support. No. That is not going on here in the first century. People, if they had any shoes, if they could afford anything, had simple sandals that were open and exposed to the ground. So as they walked, their feet got dusty. As they walked, their feet got dank. As they walked, their feet got dung. Yes, so you're walking along behind a donkey, and all these other animals on the street, you are going to pick up some of that donkey doo-doo on your feet at some point. So feet, first century feet, were funky. So again, why does this woman take this alabaster jar, something of great value, and pour it upon a body part of little value or no value or an embarrassing value? Because she acknowledged that Jesus was wonderful, that he was fabulous, that he had the power to forgive and to save her and to accept her. So she took this thing of great value and applied it to something of little value. But she wanted to honor him in the presence of others. In the summer, this past summer, the Biden administration gave the student debt loan forgiveness program. They rolled it on out and have been giving students $10,000 off of their student loans. And it's got a wide range of response to that. So some people who have already maybe paid off their student loans, maybe a little bit critical towards it, right? I paid off my loan. Why are my tax dollars going towards you to pay off your loan? Some people are looking at it from a critical standpoint. And some people have been looking at it and celebrating it, saying, no, this is awesome. Our students are up to the necks in debt. We need to help them as they move forward in this post-COVID environment to actually make money instead of just paying off debt. They're celebrating that, especially if you're a student. If you're a student, you are celebrating this, right? The best decision the administration has made yet. 4 more years. You're celebrating this if you are a student because you are being forgiven financial debt. That's being removed from you. Let's move this over to ourselves. Maybe we're a student, maybe we're not. Maybe we've passed those years on by. Maybe we're a homeowner. So envision with me, if you will, if you're a homeowner. What would that look like if your mortgage was wiped clean, right? Imagine you get a knock on your front door, you open it up, and you are surprised to see Fanny and Freddie standing right in front of you there. There they are in the flesh. They finally showed up. You didn't realize they're people, but they are. They're people standing there in front of you. And they say, hey, congratulations, we are wiping your mortgage off. Not $10,000, we are wiping the whole thing off. How relief. Some of you are like, woo, that feels good. It's not real, people. It's not real. I'm sorry to burst your bubble. It's not real. But it would feel good. Just imagining it feels good to have that financial debt wiped off, to be wiped clear. You would celebrate that. You would be ecstatic. You would be elated. You would be exhilarated. You'd be all the E words. This woman was the same thing. She was ecstatic. She was elated. She was exhilarated not because her financial debt had been removed, but because her spiritual debt had been wiped completely clean. She was elated. Let's jump back into the passage. When the Pharisees who had invited him, Jesus, saw him, he said to himself, if this man were a prophet, he would know who was touching him and what kind of woman she is, that she is a sinner. Jesus answered him, Simon, I have something to tell you. Tell me, teacher, he said. 2 people owed money to a certain moneylender. One owed him 500 denarii and the other 50. Neither of them had the money to pay him back, so he forgave the debts of both. Now, which one of them will love him more? Simon replied, I suppose the one who had the bigger debt forgiven. You have judged correctly, Jesus said. I suppose. I suppose is when we say something that we know to be true, but we don't want to actually affirm it in our hearts. We say it with our mouth, but we actually don't believe it, right? Hey, my daughters, are you guys going to clean the toilets today? It's chore day. Like, I suppose we will, right? Simon here, right? Jesus, like, who would forgive more? Who would love more? Like, I suppose it's the person with the bigger debt. He understands the truth with his mouth, but he doesn't want to adhere to it with his heart. We say, I suppose in those circumstances. It's interesting because we can see a lot of comparisons happening at this point in the passage, right? Jesus had a sympathetic view towards the women. Simon did not. He had a comparative view. She was a prostitute. He was a Pharisee. She was wicked. He was righteous. The comparison continues throughout the passage. Her sin is external, prostitution. His sin is internal, pride. Her sin was overt and everybody knew it. His sin was covert and nobody knew it. Nobody knew it except for Jesus. And Jesus calls him on that and brings that out in the passage. Let's keep reading. Then Jesus turned towards the woman and said to Simon, which is interesting. You have to realize the body language here, right? He's looking at the woman, but he's speaking to Simon. He's making eye contact with the woman. He turned towards the woman and said to Simon, do you see this woman? I came into your house. You did not give me any water for my feet, but she wet my feet with her tears and wiped them with her hair. You did not give me a kiss, but this woman, from the time I entered, has not stopped kissing my feet. You did not put oil on my head, but she has poured perfume on my feet. Therefore, I tell you, her many sins have been forgiven, as her great love has shown. But whoever has been forgiven little loves little. Then Jesus said to her, your sins are forgiven. The other guests began to say among themselves, who is this who even forgives sins? Then Jesus said to the woman, your faith has saved you. Go in peace. It's interesting how greetings have changed over the past couple of years, right? When COVID hit, I think we all remember COVID hit, we didn't know what to do. We were all washing our groceries there for a season, and then we didn't know how to greet one another. And so the safest thing is, hey, you know what, we'll do this elbow bump. It was the weirdest thing, but we all got into it, and we were all elbow bumping for a season there. And then, like, some of us got brave and say, you know what, I'm gonna make skin-to-skin contact. We're gonna do a fist pound. We're gonna do one of these. We started doing some of that. And now the brave ones of us, right? Open-handed handshake, boom, we're in for it. We go for it. It's actually interesting. Last week, for the first time in a number of years, I believe here at TLCC, we stood up and we greeted our neighbors. We did that. We used to do that. We put a pause on it for COVID, and we came back to it last week. It was kind of fun to see how people would interact with each other. So some people were still doing the elbows. Some people were doing this. Some people were going for this. Some people were hugging, and then I just walked away. I said, not for me. Not for me. I'm an introvert. I don't want to do it. So we all want greetings. And why do we all want greetings? Even during this pandemic season, we all felt the need to figure out how to greet each other because we all want to express honor and gratitude, and we all want to receive honor and gratitude back from someone. We all want something as basic as a greeting. Thanksgiving a couple of days ago, we all probably, either we went to someone's house or we had people over at our house, but if you went somewhere, you were probably greeted on your way in. Probably somebody, you rang the doorbell and they opened it up and said, hello, come on in. They greeted you as a kid. They probably pointed out where the bathroom is, and they also probably let you know where the game is playing and what screen, maybe even put a drink in your hand. They greeted you because they wanted you to feel honored. They wanted to recognize you. Simon here is wondering why Jesus is allowing this woman to honor him, and conversely, Jesus is wondering why Simon didn't honor him. The most common hospitality for a guest to enter into a Jewish home weren't provided to Jesus. And this is because he saw himself better than Jesus. He saw himself as elevated. He didn't truly see who he was, and he didn't see his sin accurately in context to Jesus. Now, sin is a weighted word. Sometimes we say that and it just feels like, man, you just like all the air went out in the room. He mentioned the S word, sin. But really, when it comes down to it, sin is a pretty simple word. This basically not meeting God's glory, missing the mark, not coming up to God's perfection. Sin is not meeting that. And so when we talk about Simon not understanding his sin, he's just not understanding where he stands in relationship to God, that God is perfection and he is not. When it comes to sin, it's an interesting thing. God doesn't grade on a curve. God doesn't grade on a curve. Does anyone remember the first time they ran into that concept, grading on a curve in school? I did. It sounded mystical. It sounded magical. I was like, wait, what is this curve you're talking about? When I was in chemistry class, I still remember it clearly. We all went in, and the class ended, and you could just feel that collective, ugh. I think we all just failed this test, right? And we were all like, oh, this is terrible. We're walking out. And then we come back, and the teacher says, hey, we're grading on a curve. And this is before smartphones. I'm old. This is before smartphones and Google, so I couldn't look up what that meant. And he was explaining what grading on a curve was. Okay, so there's this typical bell curve when it comes to anything in life, pretty much. But when it comes to test scores as well, there should be some in the lower end, and there should be the vast majority in the middle, and then some on the high end. And he said, right now, all of you are on the low end. And to make sure this looks good to the school officials, and they think I'm a good teacher, I'm going to grade on a curve, and I'm going to move you all over to the middle and some of you into the high. We're like, yes, let's grade on a curve every class. This is awesome. That was our chemistry teacher. He decided to grade on a curve. But the thing is, God doesn't grade on a curve when it comes to sin. Right? God doesn't see, okay, there's this nice bell-shaped curve, and some of you people here are terrible, and you just sin so much already. And there's the vast majority of us who are kind of doing a good job. Not too much, not too little. And there's some of us here doing a little bit of, no, God doesn't see a curve for sin. God says all of us are here on the one side. We're all sinners. We're all separated from him. Romans says it this way: for the wages of sin is death, but the gift of God is eternal life in Christ Jesus our Lord. Sin kills. It kills physically, kills emotionally, kills mentally, kills spiritually. Sin separates us. Sin equates death. All of us are on the same end of that curve. Sin kills us. There are two guys who went into a jungle, going for a walk into a jungle, but they both encountered animals. The one was encountered by a tiger. The tiger viciously tore him up, and the man died a slow, agonizing death over a number of days. The other guy had a little spider walk onto him and give him a little bite. He keeled over and he died. Both of these people are dead. One is ugly dead, right? The other one is pretty dead. But they are both equally dead. Regardless of how they died, how they got there, they are both dead. When it comes to sin, all of us are dead. Some of us in this room have the bad sins. Maybe with thoughts of revenge, thoughts of hatred, thoughts of murder. We have the bad ones. Some of us have the nice ones, right? A little bit of gossip, a little bit of white lies. The nice sins. Doesn't matter where we are in that spectrum. We are all, because of our sin, equally dead. And this woman in the story, in contrast to Simon, understands that. Simon didn't understand his sin, but he had an understanding of holiness. He understood that there's two compartments when it comes to holiness, two categories. You have people who are holy and people who are unholy. But he falsely thought that the woman was in the unholy section and he was in the holy section. No, there's two categories for people, and we are all in the unholy category. Other than Jesus, who's in the holy category, and because of him, because of he's in the holy section, we can all come and join him there because of our faith in him. Simon has a false view of that. But in contrast to that, look at the words of Paul. What does Paul say? What is his understanding of sin and his relationship to it? What does he say to Timothy? He tells him this. He says, Christ Jesus came into the world to save sinners, of whom I am the worst. I love this phrasing here, whom I am the worst, or I am the chief in some translations. Not I was, not I kind of still sometimes am. No, I am the worst. Paul had a clear understanding of who he was and his sin and his desperate need for Jesus because of that. I wasn't the worst when I was stoning other Christians in the past, when I had a different name. I wasn't the worst then. I am the worst now. Even as I'm writing letters to other churches and I'm becoming this apostle that it's going to be world known, I am still the worst sinner. That's what Jesus asks us to come to him with that same posture. I am the worst. I am desperately needing you because sin has killed and separated me. It's interesting here because Jesus doesn't downplay the sin of the woman. Right? In the passage it says, her sins are many. Sometimes we downplay sin in our culture, right? Maybe it was nurture or nature that led her to this situation, and let's not judge her because of that. Or maybe hey, Jesus is going to be progressive, right? Culture doesn't see this as a sin, so I don't see it as sin either. Jesus says, no. I'm going to call a spade a spade. I'm going to call a sin, and she has many sins, and I'm going to call it out. But the passage ends. Because of her faith, she was able to go in peace. This idea of going in peace is much different than our culture. My daughter, I don't know where she picked it up. She's in junior high. She's in 5th grade. But she'll say, peace out, Dad. Peace out. We have this idea, when it comes to peace, we use it pretty flippantly here, but this word peace here, in the Jewish context, was from shalom. And the shalom sense of peace was fullness, was completeness, was rightness with fellow man and women, rightness with God, rightness with the cosmos. Shalom, go in peace. So when Jesus says, because of your faith, even though your sins are many, you are walking out here with rightness, with completeness, with shalom, with peace. It's also really interesting here. I'm going to geek out with our grammar nerds. But Jesus uses a tense here that's kind of hard to interpret. He uses the perfect passive indicative, the perfect passive indicative. Again, it's a tense for us that's hard to translate when he says, you are forgiven. When he's telling her you are forgiven, because of this tense, he's telling her two things. First of all, he's telling her that, hey, you're forgiven for the past. All the stuff that you've done in the past is being forgiven. But beyond that, you're also being forgiven for the future. Anything that you do beyond this point is also forgiven. So in case you go back to that job, in case you slide back into sin, in case you hook up with Levi or Judah, it doesn't matter. Because you are forgiven. My forgiveness applies to the past, the present, and the future. It's a completed action with future ongoing implications. You are forgiven. When Jesus says that to us as well, it applies. You're forgiven for the past, the present, and the future. I went to Bible college after high school in Chicago. And when I went there, the college wanted us to not only learn about ministry, but they also wanted us to participate in ministry. So they had all students sign up for a PCM, a Practical Christian Ministry. When I finally got a chance to sign up, I was a little late to the game. And so because of that, all the easy ones were already taken. The nursing home visitation, the after-school clubs, they were all gone. There were only two left. It was prison ministry and prostitute ministry. I kid you not. Those are the two options that were left on the table. I was like, I don't want to get shivved, and so I'm not going to do the prison ministry. That's off the table. So let's do this prostitute ministry. Let's see what this is about. And what we would do is we would go, 2 guys and 2 girls, and we go to the west side of Chicago. We go to where United Center is, where the Bulls would play, right off of Madison Street. And we would go there, and the ladies would go, and they would pray over the ladies. The guys would just be there standing as well, kind of for visible and spiritual support. You notice that I said visible and spiritual support, not physical support. If something went down, I don't know what I would do, but we were standing there to show support to these ladies. And the ministry was always powerful. We would sometimes get misconstrued, and maybe people thought we were trying to buy services from these ladies, or actually other pimps thought we were trying to recruit them to join us, and we had to wear clerical collars to let them know that we weren't there for nefarious means. And you see a photo of my dad and I where he came to visit me once. We showed up in clerical collars to let people know we were doing God's work here. So again, powerful ministry. I got a chance to participate a number of years. And the one day that was always super powerful would be the Friday close to Valentine's Day. Because on that day, instead of going out on a date, being treated to a meal, and having a man take care of you, no, these ladies were still on the street selling themselves. So you have this terrible situation that even on this day in which they should be loved, they are being far from loved. They're being abused and taken advantage of. So we would go and do something pretty simple yet very profound. We'd come towards them with a white rose and just let them know that you are loved. And regardless of how many times we did this, the same response happened again and again. Tears would flow down their face. Didn't matter how many years they'd been on the street, how hard their heart had become, tears would flow. And then they'd do one of this. They'd say, would you hug me? They would ask for physical affection, this time without a price tag attached to it. Say, would you just hold me? And really let me know I'm loved. And then they would wail. They would wail because years of pent-up hurt was finally being released, because they were finally being loved. Their wails would go up and echo across the nights of Chicago. Beyond echoing through the nights of Chicago, their wails would continue all the way up to the heavens, where somebody else would hear them. Somebody that wailed along with them would say to them, what has happened to you is not right. The way you're being treated is not right. The pain and the plight that you are on is not right, because I designed you for a purpose, for perfection. I knit you in your mother's womb, and I designed you to live a beautiful life, and you are currently far from it. But if you come back towards me, if you demonstrate faith in me, I help you walk a life of peace, a life of shalom, a life of wholeness. Believers, here in the room, there was probably a time in which you wailed. The first time in which you encountered God's goodness and His grace. But that may have been a long time ago, right? When you first encountered Him. When you first realized that you were broken and you needed to be put back together again. That you were far from Him, that you needed to go close towards Him. That you were in the kingdom of darkness, but you wanted to be in the kingdom of light. That you were spiritually dead, but you wanted to become spiritually alive. That you had no peace, but you desperately wanted it, and you came to Him and you wailed and you received it. Again, it may have been a year ago, 5 years ago, a decade, multiple decades. Regardless of when, we can all suffer from spiritual amnesia. We can all forget His goodness that we once experienced for the first time. And so this morning, I encourage me to remember. Remember God's goodness. Remember how you were broken, that He put you back together again. Let's remember together.
Won't you stand and join me singing? You take our failure and you take our weakness. You set your treasure in jars of clay. So take this heart, Lord. Oh, I'll be your vessel, the world to see your life in me. Oh, amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.
Thank you so much, Pastor Terry, for that message, and thank all of you so much for spending time with us today. We just have a few things before we head out and send you back to Pastor Terry for the benediction. And the first is that, again, if you're new with us, thank you so much for joining us. We'd love to send you a small gift just to say thank you for being with us today. And you can receive that by hitting the New Here button, filling out some information, and we'll email you a copy of Pastor Terry's book called Live 10, Jumpstart the Best Version of Your Life.
And don't forget, if you're a member or regular attender, to check in. This is a great time for you to do that. All you have to do is click the check-in link.
And again, just for our members and regular attenders, this is the time in our service where we mention our tithes and our offerings. Thank you so much for your generosity in your giving, for your faithfulness in your tithing, as it allows us to accomplish our mission at TLCC. And last week, Pastor Terry talked about the importance of stewardship, stewarding all of what God has given us. We believe that that's an essential part of what it means to live as a part of his plan. And part of that is stewarding our resources towards the mission that God has through the local church. So again, thank you so much for your generosity and your faithfulness. If you would like to give today, you can go to tlcc.org/give, or just hit the give link on the screen. That'll take you to a lot of different methods that you can utilize to give if you would like. And on top of that, stewardship is more than just tithes and offerings. It's about how we're stewarding all of the resources that God has given us. We have a really exciting resource that we would love to offer you that's completely complimentary, free of charge, called Ramsey Plus.
There's so many resources that are going to be available to you through Ramsey Plus. This is a special license that TLCC has to be able to offer these resources to you for free. And all you have to do to access that is visit tlcc.org/stewardship. And don't forget to come back next Sunday, because Pastor Terry is going to be leading us in what we call Vision Sunday.
This is going to be a great opportunity for you to hear from Pastor Terry what the vision is of the church in the near future and moving forward. And I think it's so important for to be able to hear him speak on it, because it's key for all of us to understand the vision, to be on board with it. It's all of us collectively as a church that allows us to accomplish the mission that we believe that God has given us. So next week, Vision Sunday, it's going to be a great day.
Well, that's it for us. Thank you all so much for tuning in today. And here is Pastor Terry with the benediction, and we will see you next week.
Bye, everyone.
So let me say today's benediction. And let me welcome all of you who've joined us online today. Thanks for being with us. I hope that you have enjoyed the message today from Pastor Ben Stapley as much as I have, and those of us in the room have. And God bless all of you. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord be gracious to you and make his face shine upon you and give you peace. I pray today that each of us will just be overwhelmed with God's grace all over again. And that each of us will have this sense of how much he has forgiven us and how we have peace with God. And may we each hear and receive the words of Jesus in John chapter 10, verse 10, where he promised us life in all of its fullness, more and better life than we ever dreamed of. May we each live the life God dreamed for us in every way. In Jesus' name, amen. God bless you, everybody. Hope to see you next week.